Like, if this was full of, like, gin, I'd be just chugging it down. It's not gin. Oh, I spilled it all over myself like I was drunk anyway. Okay, I've gotten enough messages and comments for people asking me to talk about Interspecies Reviewer, so here we go. I don't like it. Thanks for watching! Now, obviously there's more to this story, and I'm going to get into a bit of the politics, a bit of my thoughts on it, and then, I guess, sort of generally how I feel about the show. And, yeah, let's just talk about that. So the show was brought to my attention when I saw it reaching up to the top and is now at the top of my anime list. Like, no, don't take something all the way to the top of my anime list just for a meme. Like, come on, guys, you're better than this. And having watched the show, sorry, Nux Taka, or whatever the heck your YouTube channel name is, I don't think this is the funniest series that I have ever seen. In fact, I don't think it's really that funny at all. Like, I get that it's trying to be a comedy, and it has a few moments that are funny, but, like, the show as a whole is just kind of gross. And so, like, obviously there's a lot of layers to this whole story, and I guess the first thing we'll talk about is the fact that Funimation dropped it, and why would Funimation drop it? And I guess that does kind of tie in line with my experience with the show in a way, but I have my own thoughts on why they would have dropped the series. So yeah, Funimation dropped it, and some YouTuber I saw, Nux Tanaka or Taka or whatever the heck his name is, was saying that, like, they've ended their career and that kind of stuff, which I really think that that's just so clickbaity and I hate it. But yeah, so he's saying they ended their career and that they ended the show and it's the funniest thing he's ever seen, and they just are, you know, not up to those standards and compared to a bunch of other shows. I'm not here to rant about him. His persona is irritating enough as is, so I'm not going to continue talking about it. But I can see where this would have come from on Funimation's part, why they would have blocked it. So I've only watched 3 episodes, but it only took 3 episodes for Funimation to drop it, and they didn't even dub more than 1. But I watched 3 episodes, and the first one wasn't too bad. The second one was kind of pushing some boundaries, and the third one made me physically ill. Like, I literally felt sick to my stomach after watching that series. Like, this probably doesn't come as a surprise to many, because I've watched enough anime. I've seen hentai. Like, this is probably getting a little too personal, but I make YouTube videos, so who cares? I have no shame. But yeah, I just admitted to watching hentai, but I don't get into hentai. The one that I've watched is, what is it called? Itadaki Sekai? Something like that. It was a vampire one. And it was funny. I literally watched it because it was funny, and a friend of mine recommended it as a comedy. Little did I know that it was more than just a comedy anime. And honestly, I think the comedy in that was actually better than the comedy in this, barring a few moments. But the difference with this series versus the hentai series is that this is an ecchi, and there are lines that ecchi don't cross. For example, we have DxD. Yeah, there's a lot of nudity. Yeah, there's a lot of innuendos and hints and things of what might be happening, but we never basically just show a censored version of it. Whereas with hentai, they don't give a shit. They just show it. And getting back to what I was saying about Funimation, that was the line that I assume was crossed for Funimation. And I've seen the argument that, like, they licensed it, they should know better, but if you actually look, and I went kind of in a very trepidatious way to research the actual manga, and nothing like that was shown in the manga. You see them picking their girls, and then you see the review. That was it. The studio went all in with making every moment, every scene basically shown with nothing left to the imagination. And especially by episode 3, that was enough to kind of turn my stomach. And like, I don't get put off or like made nauseous very easily. And if that was my reaction, and I'm sure was several other people's reactions, I can imagine that if Funimation did the research that I did and went and looked into the manga to see what was going on and see if it was a show that they wanted to get on board with, they wouldn't have seen anything close to what ended up coming through the actual final production. So yeah, I could completely believe that Funimation got blindsided. Now, my only problem is that now we have TV Tokyo doing the same thing, but TV Tokyo doesn't get the same pass as Funimation does. Like Funimation, I'm aware that their licensing team is based in Japan and their dubbing and production teams are here in the US, but here's the thing. TV Tokyo is right there. All in Tokyo, all in Japan, all in seeing the final production and greenlighting it. And now they're kind of pulling the same, like, oh my gosh, no kind of card and not showing it. Now, there are other stations that are showing it still, but I don't know why TV Tokyo is suddenly playing the, like, oh my gosh card. Because, like, Funimation got a bunch of flack for, caving to the SJWs or whatever and, giving the snowflakes what they want. But here's the problem. Even if they're doing that, they could have very possibly not even known that this was going to happen. Whereas with TV Tokyo, they probably knew that that was going to happen, and then they caved anyway. That's a different story. I'm not going to go into my opinions on those. I'm just giving you what I think about how it was handled. Now, my perspective on the show. I said at the start that I didn't like it, and I don't. I honestly think that it's kind of trash, but let me get into why. So like with other ecchis that I've seen, I'm going to use High School DxD as an example. There is a plot that is followed that also happens to have plot in it. And that plot doesn't really get in the way of the actual plot of the series. And that means that you as the viewer can engage in a story that just happens to have some plot in it. Okay, fine. So what's the plot in Interspecies Reviewers? Well, it's like I said earlier, basically these people going to brothels that are legal, and they are rating their experience at these brothels with these different species of sex workers. And that plot alone probably would have just turned me off the show. Like, I'm not a social justice warrior. I'm not a super sensitive person. I don't really get that way, but seeing that kind of just makes me feel a little gross to say out loud to begin with. And yeah, sure, it's fantasy or whatever, and I get that it's, the premise of the series, but again, just kind of not my thing. But needless to say, it got on my radar. So I watched the first 3 episodes. I was actually going to give it the 5-episode rule, but here's the problem. The first episode just kind of bored me. It wasn't super funny. It wasn't really plot-driven in a way. Like, it had a plot, but I didn't really feel like it was going to go anywhere considerable. Episode 2 comes around, same thing, and actually even more disturbing, and got pretty moo, that's all I gotta say. And that just kind of didn't settle well for me. But I said, I'm gonna give it the 5-episode try. I'm gonna get to episode 5. All right, let's get on to episode 3. So I got to episode 3, and I felt physically ill. I threw away a whole bowl of popcorn because I just didn't have an appetite after watching that episode, because just, like, furry and slime and tentacle and that's just not my thing. I think I'll pass. Thanks. And like I said earlier with the one YouTuber, Nux whatever, he was saying that it was the funniest show he's ever seen. I'm sorry, his voice just irritates me, so I like making fun of it. That's not nice of me. I shouldn't do that. But he was saying that it was like the funniest show he had ever seen. And the funniest things that I saw in that was the bird girl who was the waitress beating the crap out of our main character several times every time he would sexually harass her, but her retaliations were always kind of funny. And the only other thing that came out of that series that I thought was funny was this. Yeah, the opening just straight up sounds like Young Men by the Village People. I love it. Oh my gosh, that was actually probably the best part of that whole series. It's like unironically good and just hilarious. But really, at the end of the day, if it's your thing, I'm not going to tell you not to watch it, but people have asked me enough for my opinion, and so I watched it. I don't like it. Sorry, I just don't. And that's sort of what it's come down to for me. So if you all were coming to this video expecting me to give it a rave review or saying, I believe that it's the funniest thing I've ever seen, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to disappoint you. It was definitely not the funniest thing I've ever seen. In fact, it was probably one of the most disgusting things I've seen, and whatever. The controversy that got stirred up about it, I really don't care. I see why Funimation could have potentially dropped it for the reasons that I stated. I don't understand why TV Tokyo dropped it, considering that they knew what was coming down the pipeline. So I'm not giving them as much of a break as I would Funimation, but I still think Funimation probably could have done their research a bit better or pressured the production studio to kind of give them an idea of where the story was going to go. So yeah, I don't like the series. Sorry for those of you who do. It's not my cup of tea to begin with. It never really has been my cup of tea. And the fact that it's stirred up so much controversy, considering how much I like to kind of avoid that kind of stuff, has definitely put it on a not watching list. That and the fact that it made me feel physically ill. Because I don't like controversy and I don't like shows that make me feel ill, and I guess that can be my perfect summary for this series. It made me feel ill and it stirred up controversy that I do not want to be a part in. So if you want to watch it, go for it. If you don't, I don't blame you. If you did and you felt sick and you stopped watching, I know how you feel. And apart from that, thanks for watching, guys. I'd leave a link normally down below, but number one, I don't want to have to leave a link to a porn site. But in all seriousness, thanks for watching, guys. Like, subscribe, check out the links down below that aren't straight links to a porn site. And apart from that, I'll see you on the next video. Make sure to be there and have a good one. Hey, what's up, guys? Yes, it's a different voiceover for the ending, but it's the same ad. Y'all should go and check out my shirts down there. I've got the Steins Gate shirts, I got the Mob Psycho shirts, I got the SF stuff. You can see the Steins Gate one there. It's really cool, but most of you probably aren't even going to watch to the end anyway to see that it's a different voiceover or hear that it's a different voiceover. But if you did, leave a comment. Say that you noticed that it's a different voiceover. And if you did stay all the way to the end and listen to the ad and haven't clicked on the link yet, then why haven't you? Go click on the link. Go buy a shirt. Come on.